Hello and welcome to another live coaching. Oh, it's been a busy week here on Maui, busy and stormy. I've been busy with a lot of different things, getting on the water a little bit when I've been able to, but also dodging rain and working on other stuff that I've been needing to work on. But what about you? Have you been getting on the water? What have you been up to? How is your week? Oh, how's your forecast? How's your week? How's your forecast? I'm going to load up the Facebook group while I wait for you guys to show up. Looks like it's windy today. We've had some really stormy, rainy, windy weather here, which is kind of typical for Maui in the spring. Early March is often like this, where we get days that are really rainy and there's wind, and it can be in and out wind, or it can be pretty strong stormy wind or just light wind. So the rain and the wind, they can go together or they can cancel each other out. I would say often on Maui they cancel each other out. So it's not like in Europe where you have a low pressure system and the rain can come with the wind, and you can have a day with wind and rain. Often on Maui, the rain is disrupting the wind. Uh, but sometimes we can have days where it is rainy and windy at the same time. But often the more rainy it is, the less likely it's going to be windy. All right, we got some action in the chat. Hello, Dan. Dan in Klitmiller. Awesome. Are you sailing right now, Dan, in Klitmiller? Must be pretty cold up there, but I'm sure there are some good days. The days are starting to get longer. Getting in the water. Herman. Hello, hello. Christoph in Santa Cruz, where it is also stormy. Is it stormy to get on the water? Are you able to get on the water? York had a weekend double feature. Awesome. Saturday and Sunday. Nice. All right, I'm going to load up the Facebook group. Oh, Dan. Dan said he had a starboard tack session yesterday. Lovely. 2 degrees, 5-degree water. Oof, that is cold. Where on the starboard tack session, where are you sailing? I have had some really fun sessions at bunkers, starboard tack at bunkers, but it can work starboard tack a lot of different spots around Klitmiller. Fuck here. Yeah, Dan is saying fuck here. Yeah, that can be really fun. Ragnar said, like to plan traveling for the year. Any master classes planned? Yeah, I'm in the process of planning them. I will release the plan soon, very soon. Rasmus in Hamburg, still too cold for him. Hello, Rasmus. Max. Hello, Max. Christoph said his friends had a couple sessions waiting for summer conditions, hopefully next week. Bunkers might work tomorrow. Yeah, I really recommend trying bunkers. I think most people, when it's working starboard tack, they don't like to go there, or they don't like to sail at all. I sailed there once just totally alone, and another time with one other person, and it was amazing. Suna, also in Denmark, 3 sessions at Moon. Bloody cold. Oof. Yeah, that sounds cold. All right, I'm going to get the Facebook group loaded up. Here we go. If you guys are getting some winter sailing, try to get some winter footage, and we can talk about it in the group. First up, we have this post from Marco. Marco was in Cape Town, and let's check the clips. All right. So this looks like sunset. Sunset is a great spot for learning. Short, and it can be kind of bumpy. Looks like we're getting one turn. Nice turn in the pocket. Looks like there could have been the possibility of a second turn, but there's somebody going out right here. Let's make it full screen again. Right, we see this guy was going out on the simmer sail. This guy's going out on this red Ezzy sail. And so Marco's pretty limited with the amount of space that he has. And so I think that if it hadn't been so crowded, he would have been able to make that second hit. And also it would have helped with the focus on the first section. The main thing I want to point out here, technique-wise, is the body position. But before we get into that, I just want to look at what's actually happening because we talk a lot about technique and these minutia of what's going on, but at the end of the day, what's important? It's important that you're going fast. It's important that you're on the rail. It's important that you're in the right part of the wave, that you're carrying your speed, that you're not stopping. And if we look at this turn for Marco, he's hitting a lot of those points, right? So he's keeping his speed. There's no stopping. It's a fluid motion, which we really like to see. He's coming up into the pocket of the wave, getting a little bit of that high five action right as the wave is starting to break. So there's more right than wrong with this. But if we are to critique the technique, what we would look at is this entry position at the beginning of the bottom turn. There is a lot of ankle flex, some knee flex, but not much hip bend. And you really want to get that bend at the waist. So what we don't want to be doing is just jamming the knees forward and standing upright with the body because that doesn't apply any of the pressure that we want onto the rail. So really getting that bend at the waist is going to be key, Marco. And then the second thing would be thinking about doing more of a U-shaped bottom turn. And so you can see this first part of the bottom turn comes down, and then you're coming like an L. And what you want to do is carry this line back up the wave so that you're doing a U. But still, like I said, more right than wrong. But those are the two things I would focus on. One is getting that bend at the waist, and then two is thinking about doing a U. All right, we got Matt in the chat. Hello, Matt. Oh, Guadalupe representing. Nice. Port tax sessions in Guadalupe on Facebook. Awesome. All right, so let's load up this other video from Marco, or it's a photo. So there's an arrow here. So let's go back to his comment and see what he's looking at. Push the front arm straighter and his backhand farther back. So you don't need to go farther forward with your front hand. You don't want to go farther forward at all. I repeat, you do not want to go farther forward. You could push your front arm straighter, but that's not a huge point. If we look at it full screen, we can look how close you're holding your sail to you. And you're pushing it away pretty well. I mean, often in these conditions, you want to be pushing the sail away from your body. You don't want to be hugging the sail. There's a little bit of hugging going on as you're coming up into the bottom turn and then also into the cutback, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not too extreme. The biggest thing is getting the bend at the hips. That is going to make the biggest difference. Oh, we got Graham also in Cape Town. Had a 5-0 session at sunset. Awesome. Awesome. This is sunset. So, Marco, let me see if I have an example here from myself. I could pull something up just to show an example of this hip bend because it is really important. It's an important point, and it's really one of the most important things with when we're talking about body position and what we're looking for. Oh, you know where I have one. I posted a video, would have been while I was still in South Africa. Let me see if I can if I have the video file for that. And I can I just want to show an example of the that bottom turn position. Okay, I found a little video. I'm gonna get it loaded up. Hopefully it shows what we're trying to talk about. All right, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay, so we've got different action shots here. So here is an example of what I'm trying to show. So you can see how much bend there is at the waist, and actually more bend at the waist than the knees and the ankles. You don't want to have a lot of ankle flex because you want to be pushing strong with the ankles. You want to be getting that board on its edge, right? And so in order to do that, you want your ankles pretty strong, and then you're using your weight and your muscles to get um, on the rail, right? So that um, here, let's watch that again. And then again, a bit more of a U on the bottom turn going into that high five. Here again, it's not a super powerful bottom turn, but you can see that bend in the waist is really important. And then also pushing the knees into the turn also really helps get that U. It's one of those things, it's a bit like magic. Once you get the motion and you do it, then your bottom turns are much more of a U than an L. You can see how much I'm really pushing the knees into the turn. And so the lower body really drives the turn and allows more of that U-shaped bottom turn. Um, there's a few more examples. We can watch these a little bit and then go back. But think I think this makes the point. Some tricks. So on Facebook, we've got someone saying, it's pretty brave to submit your own GoPro video for criticism. I totally agree. But the great thing about this self-filming is we do get to see what we're doing compared to what we think we're doing. Yes, that's so important um, with the filming. That's like the main benefit, is that you are able to see the difference between what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing. And when the more you do that, the closer those two become. And so that allows you to uh, make changes, because if you don't know what you're doing, then how can you make changes, right? So the question is, should there be more surfing the boom going on? There could be more, but it's not a huge point. I think the body position is a lot more important. Again, trying to get that bend at the waist is really important. Uh, and then the other parts can come in the fine tuning. All right, let's get back to the Facebook group. Max says, what's your weight distribution or foot balance and drive on that bottom turn? How do you tighten them up? So getting those hips or knees turned into the turn will really help uh, drive the bottom turn tighter, more of a U shape. But also just thinking about doing more of a U-shaped turn is how you get a U-shaped turn. Um, because if you're like when we're looking at a lot of this footage of people doing the L-shaped bottom in Guadalupe. Oh, and it's Billy. Welcome, Billy. Um, it's Charles in Guadalupe. When we look at this footage, so his head is looking down the line. And so he's looking to do an L-shaped bottom turn. And so the first step to doing a more U-shaped bottom turn is just thinking about doing a more U-shaped bottom turn. And so you're looking with your head instead of down the line over here, you're looking back up the wave over here. And that might be on the other side of the clue, but not down the line. And so the first step is really just looking with the head. And then the second tip is, this is something I picked up from Nick Baker, and it's so effective. It's something that I think about implementing at Hokipa. I think about it when I travel, and it doesn't cease to surprise me how effective it is. And that's getting those hips and knees really angled into the turn. And so you're twisting your hips and your knees into the direction of the bottom turn, right? So not towards the nose of the board, but towards your toes. And that twist, that motion really helps drive the board on its last part of the U in the turn. Really, really effective. So the two things to getting a tighter bottom turn. One is just looking, thinking about going tighter, because we see so often in these L-shaped bottom turns, the rider is looking way down the line and they're thinking about doing that L. They're not thinking about doing a U. And if you're thinking about doing a U and looking, aiming for a more U-shaped bottom turn, trying to come up the wave, that's going to get you 80% of the way there. And then for the fine tuning, getting those hips and knees really turned, angled into the turn will make also a really, really big difference. All right, next up. So these are the aerials that I was looking at the last time we were on the live stream, and I think these are a good example because I was not very comfortable this day. And so you can see aerials that don't have a whole ton of bottom turn, and you can translate this technique to smaller waves, and this will be something closer to what you'd be doing when you are learning aerials for the first time. You know, it's not a very super aggressive bottom turn. It's sailing into the lip, trying to get the timing right, getting that high five under the lip to get the projection out in front. And again, these are bigger waves, but you can use the same technique in smaller waves. Erasmus says, for tighter bottom turns, it's also useful to think of a step motion, first compressing and leaning going into the turn, then to tighten, compress, again, the middle of the bottom turn, and then rail again in the turn. Yeah, definitely getting low before you go and then having something to push off of is also really useful. We've got Axel here. He had a spring session on a 4-6. Awesome. All right, next up, we have a post from Thomas talking about boards. And so he's saying that the slim board should be the thruster and the wide one the quad, but Duotone's done it the other way around. In his opinion, you need more grip going out upwind and less grip when the wind turns side shore, side off. Testing the wide one to the right against his flyaway pyramid into curve. Historically, grip is super easy board to ride, and so it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't tested these boards, so I can't really comment. I think that the tail width and the fins don't matter that much because, well, they do matter. So the wider your tail is, the more fin area you'll need. The narrower your tail, the less fin surface area you'll need. Hey, Greg, enjoy. So they do affect the fins, but whether the tail width affects whether it should be a thruster or a quad, I don't think makes a big difference. For example, the stubby boards that were so popular a few years ago, those were mainly thrusters, and those had the super wide tails. But bigger side fins, they had bigger side fins than what we would use on our thrusters otherwise. Um, I think with boards, it's really important to try them and test them. It's really hard to make a comment just looking at it. Uh, it's something that, yeah, there are rules, right, in terms of how the rail is and the rocker, and a straighter rocker is going to be stiffer, and a softer rail is going to be easier to initiate a turn, and there are some rules, but generally you have you can really comment on it. Um, but I want to hear if people try these boards, what they think. All right, next up, Ola is in Cape Verde next week, March 10th to 17th. Awesome. Awesome. Let us know how the conditions are. All right, we've got a post from Graham that we can't see the post. So Graham, if you're watching this, something's wrong with the content. And that's it. We're all caught up for the week. That was a short live stream, which is all good. But if you guys have footage of yourselves, like Billy says, if you want to be brave and post some of your own footage, um, that would be great. All right. Jay Luke just got on. Happy DST from NorCal. Official season opening soon. G Luke, we're just finishing up, but I'd love to hear about where you're windsurfing in NorCal. Give us a little before we leave. Where are you sailing? What are your home spots? Where is good? When does the season start? I love California windsurfing. There's some really fun spots. Some of my most fun sessions have been maybe in Central California. I've had a lot of fun at. I had a really surprisingly fun set of days at what is that spot called near San Luis Obispo? Um, it's called Arroyo Laguna, and there's the break right in front of where you walk down, and that's where most people sail. But there's also a really fun spot if you go on the other side of the rocks. Really, really fun. Um, I like Santa Cruz too. Christoph is saying I should come to Santa Cruz. I like Santa Cruz. I like Waddell. I haven't sailed Davenport in a long time, but when the AWT was doing the contest in Waddell, I would go and sail there for the contest, but then also to train. Had a lot of fun. G Luke is in Third Ave, Palo Alto. Awesome. And he's coming to Maui. Nice. We'll see you here. I'll be at Maui. Um, cool. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Post your questions, your videos, your comments all in the Facebook group. Where is it? It's up there somewhere. You guys see the link. It's facebook.com/group/Ezzy coaching. And everyone is welcome. It's a great community. We have a lot of knowledgeable people in there. So you'll get a lot of good support, advice. You can post questions, stuff you're working on, celebrate successes. And I read every single post, and I will go through it next week, Sunday. And I'll see you on Sunday.